So today's video is for those of you who are in the manifestation world and are trying to manifest a positive court case outcome in your family court case. And the reason I love coaching you guys who are trying to manifest something in this sector or realm of reality is because it's challenging. I'm just going to come right out with it and say that in general, many people come to manifestation. Neville Goddard, Emmett Fox, Joseph Murphy, all of these great teachers, they stumble upon this wisdom at a really low point in their lives. Something isn't working for them, they just got dumped, or they're going through a really hard time financially. I mean, even if you've seen The Secret with Rhonda Byrne, she said it was at her lowest point that this wisdom came to her. And I would also say for me, when I was in my 20s, the wisdom of Kabbalah came to me at, I don't know if I would say a low point. I guess it was a low point, but it was also like this feeling of dissatisfaction. Like I had achieved all these things that I thought I wanted, but that kind of came easily. And I was like, this is it. I have everything I ever wanted. Like, there's got to be more to this life on earth. So, and I would say that really all of manifestation is sourced in Kabbalah. Like, it says exactly the same things. The only difference is that Kabbalah is the teachings are sourced in Torah, in the Zohar, in the Midrash, in Tehillim. Okay, I didn't mean to go down this rabbit hole. So let's get back to those of you who are trying to manifest your desired outcome in your family court case and just feeling really shaky and uncertain, and you're trying to affirm, but it's like you're almost like attached to your affirmations out of this feeling of not having, like, I don't have this, so I have to make it happen through my words. And you're overemphasizing your actions, your filings, what your attorney is doing, if you have an attorney, or if you're going pro se. You're like, and I'm not saying not to be conscientious about your paperwork, because that's who you are. But what I am saying is this level of importance that we attach to it, the just the attachment in general, the neediness, the desperation, the feeling of not having, energetically is what is repelling the outcome that we want. So if you think about it a different way, all right, so let me back up. Actually, let me back up even further. Before I get too into it, I will introduce myself. My name is Chana. I am a manifestation coach, spiritual teacher, energy healer, but my background is in law enforcement. I was a cop for almost 20 years, and divorce and family mediation. And so I am all about manifestation in a very healthy, balanced, practical way that keeps you grounded and, yes, focuses on aligned action, because we can't not take action in certain instances, but it has to be action that is like chilled out, and simply because we are in alignment with our chosen outcome. Not that we're trying to make something happen, we are just letting it in. We are, through our actions, we are creating the vessel for the energy. The work creates the vessel, right? Um, Another way to think of it is we are revealing what already exists. So it's easier to understand this principle in terms of, I always use diet and exercise, right? Like, somebody wants to lose weight and to get fit, and so they have this vision of themselves in a really fit, lean body. I used to see this psychic years ago, and she would always say, like, change happens in the brain first. I'm like, well, what does that even mean? But now I understand. You have the vision first, the image, and that is real, okay? And then through the work of moving your body and changing the way we think about food and nutrition and fueling, then we reveal through that process what already exists, which is this fit, toned, lean body. And yes, there, when you weight train, it is hard, right? And we do tear ourselves down before we build ourselves back up. But and we're sore the next day, right? But nobody who is on a fitness journey is like complaining about being sore the next day. They're like mad at themselves because they went to the gym. No, they're like excited when they're sore because they know that that's a sign that they did good work. And anyways, fine. So this is true of anything we are trying to manifest. Once we have the goal and it's our goal, right? We're like, it's not what somebody else wants for us, or we don't want it from like this egoic, lackful place. We want it because it belongs to our heart. I love what the author of Transurfing Reality says, which he says, you just go to the store and pick your toy, right? You take your heart by the hand, or maybe let your heart take you by the hand and pick your toy. So if it's our goal, it already exists in this alternative space, in this infinite quantum realm of reality where all outcomes are possible, okay? Your chosen outcome exists. Now, we want to make sure, and this is the point of this video, that that outcome is in alignment with integrity and spiritual principles, because if it is not, then this creates balanced forces, which, in simplest terms, karma. Everything you put out is an energetic boomerang. It will come back to you. So it's like when people hate somebody, and often this just applies in family court. Some people like really hate their ex, and they're flowing resentment and hatred and negative thoughts towards them. And that all of those thoughts and feelings are boomerangs, and they will come back to you. This is so key. In Transurfing Reality, I can't remember the author's name. It's Vadim something. He says, those who cause others to fear end up having to fear themselves. So if you don't cause others to fear, if you don't go out there and try to bully, threaten, and intimidate your ex, then you will never have to fear anything, okay? Now, if you are doing something from a place of true love, and they still feel fearful, that is beyond your control. Ideally, they shouldn't. They should feel your positive, loving energy. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily loving towards them. It can be loving towards yourself, but you still have to treat them with human dignity. For example, I reference this movie all the time, but there's a reason I do, which is the movie Renfield. And when he is deciding to end his relationship as Dracula's assistant, and he's going to these like narcissist support group meetings, or I'm sorry, like codependent support group meetings. He gets this book called Defending Against the Narcissist. And when Dracula comes over and he's trying to like suck him back in, and I mean, it's so perfectly illustrative of the narcissist relationship dynamic, because Dracula, which is just Nicolas Cage playing himself, by the way. I don't know if like my GPS just recorded, but anyways, and Dracula is telling him, I'm the victim, you're the evil one, and all these things. And he like goes in the book Defending Against the Narcissist, and he's like, okay, what do you do? What do you do? Empathize with the narcissist. Okay, I realize it's very painful being undead, and like my point is, he always treats Dracula with human dignity, and this is so key when it comes to your ex, because you do not want to be a person who treats others with anything less than human dignity. And I don't care how mad you are, and in the moment, momentarily, you might think, well, I just don't care. That's what they get, and that's what they deserve, and they're evil, and they're a villain, and all this stuff. But I am telling you, it's not about them, it's about you. And you detaching from these energetic pendulums that suck you in, and they get their hooks into you because you are like full of yourself, essentially. You're not empty. And because you're like full of your own self-importance, then you're able to be controlled, essentially, because pendulums like to be fed by energy. And so when you are proceeding through family court, let's say you were married to an abusive person and you have decided to love yourself, that you deserve better. And so you are coming from this place of self-love and you're like, I am going to stand up to my abuser. It is very important that you do not cross the line into trying to get revenge and leveraging kids and finances as a means of settling the score. Some people call it's justice. This is justice. No, 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 no. You need to find this sweet spot, this balance of loving yourself and protecting your kids, and also treating that person with human dignity without being an enabler. And this is not about morals, okay?
Stay in the left 2 lanes.
This is about energy and balancing energy and making sure. Okay, I turned off the sound on my GPS. This is like not the right time of day to be trying to record this video, but it is super important and I really need to get it out there, so here we are. Fine. This is about managing your energy, because really that's what we are in this world. Everything is energy. Your time is energy, your money is energy, your kids are energy, and now you can use the word God and energy interchangeably, okay? And all the energy that you have is on loan, all right? The only thing you can take with you when you leave this world is the manner in which you managed that energy, okay? And that's going to set you up for your next lifetime. So you need to decide, like a financial advisor, where you want to invest your energy, because you will always get a return on that investment. So you don't want to invest your energy in what I would call, what the Kabbalists call the desire to receive for the self alone, because this will feel good for a moment. This is your basic immediate gratification. It'll feel good for a moment, and then it will leave you in darkness because it's not balanced. All right? This is a very systematic, clinical way to approach things. So let's put it this way. Desire to receive for the self alone is reactive behavior. What is reactive behavior? Reactive behavior is any thought, word, or action which comes from a place of lack and is intended to connect to immediate gratification. It does connect you to the light, but because it connects you to the light without restriction, without a vessel, without pushing back, then it's a direct connection. It short circuits after like a very short period of time. All right, if this isn't really making sense, let me give you an example. If you think about a light bulb, the old incandescent light bulbs, not the LED bulbs that we all use today, the right or positive pole, I guess, sends the charge to the left negative minus pole, and that creates the light. However, there's a filament in the middle which actually pushes back the current, and through this act of pushing back or resistance, this is what causes the light bulb to glow. So, if you want the light bulb to glow consistently in your life, you need to push back on this pull, I guess you would say, this need, this want for immediate gratification, which also only benefits the actor in this case, okay, the operant power. Just bear with me here. So if you've ever turned on one of these lights and like it burns out, okay, there's a brilliant flash of light and then darkness. So this is what happens when the filament breaks, and now there's no resistance, okay? This is what happens when people like scream at somebody, not because they feel like that person needs to be screamed at from a place of love, which is a whole different topic and we can talk about it some other time, but they are screaming because their ego, got stepped on and they like are raging and super angry. All right. Or when there's so many different ways this can manifest. It could be screaming. It could be desire to control. It could be, feeling small and not speaking up when we need to speak up. Right. Whatever's going to like give you immediate comfort is almost guaranteed to be reactive behavior. And why is this so dangerous in family court? Well, like I said, I like to focus on manifestation when it comes to family court because of the challenge. People are like, what do you mean I'm not supposed to attach importance to the outcome? It's my kids, it's my money. And it's super, super, super easy to fall into a scarcity mindset because there appears to be, there's only one set of kids, there's only one piece of the pie to divide up, and they're hiding it, and they're this, and they're that. And it's like, just this whole big entangled mess. It's super easy to fall into idolatry because people ascribe power to judges and exes and attorneys and courtroom evaluators. And it's like all the things that get people tripped up in manifestation are super duper prevalent in family court. Like in business, if somebody's trying to grow their business and they're trying to manifest um, more money and a new bit, like as long as you're not out on the street starving in survival mode, and even if you are but you have trust and faith, it's like not going to matter because you're not worried about it. It only matters if you're worried about it. Things only matter because of your relationship. But anyways, my point is like business can be really easy to manifest. Even specific people can be easy to manifest because even though it seems like you're like, oh well, that would have scarcity there too because there's only one of that person. It's different with your kids. And I don't know if it's the same for dads as well as moms. I guess I assume it would be, but maybe more so for moms because we carry the child in our body, and there's more of like a soul energetic connection. I shouldn't say there's more of a soul connection, but there, there's just something. All right, think of it this way: the mother's eggs are in her body from the time the mother was a fetus in the womb of her mother, whereas the man's sperm regenerates every 3 months. So like the baby, half of the baby was in her body, the mother's body, since the mother herself was a fetus. Whereas like the father, the sperm that inseminated the egg was only in his body for 3 months before uh, it joined with the egg. I don't know if that's. I mean, everything is relevant. Okay, so like for all you dads listening to this, I love you. This is literally nothing against you. Um, but I feel like there's a lot of women in the manifestation world because women are the manifestors. We are the manifesting energy, in the sense that a man's sperm is basically like infinite, right? Like every orgasm has like 20 million sperm. He could theoretically make 20 million babies if he could find 20 million women for each time he has an orgasm. Um, but nothing can be manifested, none of those, 0 out of 20 million can be manifested without the woman, the feminine energy. All right, again, this is not a man woman thing, this is not a mom dad thing, and we all have aspects of both, by the way. But it is the female energy that is the energy of manifestation, which also, by the way, the mouth is the energy of manifestation. And that's why the Kabbalists say that 10 measures of speech were given, and 9 of them were given to women. Anyways, women talk like a lot more than men. All right, where is this house I'm looking for? Oh, I pulled up. Okay, all right. I'm gonna finish this later. Okay, so where were we? I am recording these videos between appointments, hence the like different times of day and a little bit disjointed in the flow of ideas. But if you've been following me for a while, a lot of my videos are very stream of consciousness. I get inspired about some topic that I'm seeing a lot in the various circles that I move in, and I just kind of start there and I don't prepare too much. I like let the collective consciousness, the energy like pull through me what I feel like people need to hear. Okay, so back to this idea of being in the manifestation world and specifically within the realm of family court and why the stumbling blocks that apply to any type of manifestation, whether it's a specific person or real estate or business, career success, money. When it comes to family court, again, the same stumbling blocks apply everywhere, but they are like intensified in family court because there's this idea of an enemy, an opposing party, like a person who appears, but compellingly appears to be very much uh, intending on and even succeeding in blocking our will, which creates, of course, resistance, energetic pendulums, um, reactive behavior, and all of this delays or, God forbid, like completely stops the manifestation. So, what do we do about it? All right, so number one, I spoke earlier about stopping reactive behavior. And again, this is not about morals. This is because reactive behavior adds energy to the things we do not want. Perhaps you've heard the phrase that every reaction is a creation, and it even has the same letters rearranged. And this is completely true. Or like all these little cliches they exist because they're true. Like what you resist persists. Okay. That's why Abraham Hicks calls their body of work the art of allowing, okay, or the science of deliberate creation. But the art of allowing is actually better because you can't, excuse me, you cannot push against what you don't want because that's actually saying yes to it. Your energy is agreement with what you don't want. And when we react in a very prescribed way, this means that we are feeding a pendulum, which is a dynamic of energy. So I made another video about how we think our ex is the opponent, but it's not. It's our reaction to it it's the pendulum. People say, oh, you're feeding the narcissist with your emotions and your reactivity. It looks that way, but what you're really feeding is, and I'm not saying it's wrong to view it that way, but by viewing it that way, you fall into this victim villain narrative, light versus dark, good versus evil. And a lot of you are probably getting really triggered right now and saying, well, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I hear that. And even if it's true, the fact is that's not going to change your desired outcome. And the more you get fired up about that, the more you're actually working against your desired outcome. So just accept it and work on changing the energy. And so what do I mean by that? People get really tripped up here. When you get triggered, number one, pause. Or, you get triggered by somebody else in your life who is trying to give you advice or saying, well, it's going to be this way, or feeding you some story, or your attorney. Flip the script. Have some sort of unusual reaction, because this is how you're going to disrupt the energy. And so, for example, if you get would be maybe objectively or traditionally thought of as bad news, and you celebrate, you act as if it's good news. Eventually, and it sounds a little bit crazy, but if normal is what's been happening so far, if you don't want more of normal, then don't be normal, okay? By reacting in a very positive way and saying, what a pleasure, what a gift, eventually you will neutralize that energy, okay? And it won't need to occur anymore because you will have overcome that challenge. So another way to put it is, if you act like your entire life is a celebration, eventually it will become one. That's why they say you should really celebrate your wins, but also not to become, overly attached to them or reactive, right? Because if we're reactive to the good, we'll also be reactive to the bad. You really want to find this like neutral, sort of dispassionate, equanimous place. But then it's like, well, you're basically telling me not to enjoy the things I have to enjoy. No, that's not what I'm saying. Like, who wants to, like, let's say somebody really wants a particular kind of car and they're super excited about this car. And then you hear somebody say, well, you need to be dispassionate about it. And then they're like, well, that's no fun because I want the car because I want to enjoy it. And you're telling me to be dispassionate, basically not to enjoy it. And I want it because I want to enjoy it. No, it's that you, of course, you enjoy it, but you're not attached to it, right? Like, no matter what happens, if you're insulted, if you're praised, if things go your way, if they don't go your way, you are like totally in flow and trust and in alignment with what the universe is bringing you. You are not fighting it, you are not arguing with it, you are not in disagreement, you are not out of alignment. Whatever it brings you, you are trusting that it is to elevate you. And the things that are challenging, those are the true gifts. We need the good things, we need the positive experiences because, I mean, we're human. We have to have some pleasure. We can't only have challenges, okay? Um, just like you can't only breathe in or only breathe out, or like everything has to have this cycle. But you have to learn to love what you hate and not become attached to the things that you love. But that doesn't mean you don't love them, and it doesn't mean you don't care. It's just, it's like you don't attach this over importance to it, because the overabundance of importance, as I wish I could think of his name, I hate to keep saying the author of Transurfing Reality, but he says you create this excess potential, this excess energy, which always leads to balancing forces. So, I mean, that's why narcissistic relationships that start out so hot and heavy, this like, high level of romantic love, which is euphoric and you're being love bombed and everything feels so good, has this polarizing crash, just like being on drugs feels great, but there's a crash because it's not balanced. And the universe will always seek to balance itself, like earthquakes. People think that they are these natural phenomenon. No, an earthquake is Mother Nature, is the earth seeking balance when there is a lot of imbalance in that particular area. Okay, if you look at societies where women are treated poorly as second-class citizens and marginalized, those societies have a lot of chaos because they do not have a balanced perspective towards women. Um, so when we are unbalanced ourselves in any way, and what does balance mean? So that's means a lot of things. Like some people, especially for my ADHD clients, you sometimes feel like your life should be about a lack of balance. And that is true in a way. Like, just kind of side note here, those with ADHD really do need to notice the areas where they get hyper focused and really pour their passion into, because that is their sign, their blueprint, that is something that is that they're being called to, right? So those lives can have what appears maybe on the surface to be imbalance, but it's for them that is balance. Okay. um so it doesn't look the same for everybody, but, and I really need to make a whole video on ADHD and like the sensitive person, because a lot of ADHD people are highly sensitive, and then there are some people who are just highly sensitive in general, and how that can, as many beautiful gifts as are associated with sensitive natures, also that can really lead to this idea of creating excess potential and this overabundance of energy that can work against you, right? Like, if you think, again, if you think of a pendulum, if you pull it all the way in one direction, there's a lot of potential energy there, and you let it go, it's going to swing really hard in the other direction. I remember this one woman, she was a neuroscientist. She was talking about alcohol, and she's like, you have to imagine this scale. And when you drink alcohol in excess, you're putting a lot of gremlins on one side of the scale. So for a while, it feels great. But eventually, all those gremlins are going to hop onto the other side of the scale, and that's the hangover. And she explained it like in a lot more detail and in a very neurosciencey kind of way. But my point is, it's very easy to get sucked into these imbalanced perspectives when it comes to family court, because not only is it our children, but in what we perceive as our pot of money, right? Like when it comes to money, it's so important to know that money can come from one of 100 different channels in our lives. And most people think, well, it can only come through my job, or it can only come through, my ex. And it should come through my ex because, he did me wrong and now he should pay for it. And like all these different ideas. When the truth is, it could come to you through so many different ways if you would just chill out and trust. And really, even just, sorry, there's like this weird light in the sky. So here are a couple tools that if you can really embody these and integrate them and remember them, will really help you in not only feeling better, but this isn't just about feeling better, it's actually about achieving desired outcomes. Not even because it's about the outcome, but because the outcome is the evidence of your own ability to manifest, which is really exciting. So, number one, and again, this could be very triggering for some people, but for me personally, when I first heard this and chose to practice it, it was a huge form of relief. So my spiritual teacher told me that when my kids are with my ex, and now this was like years ago, this was like over 10 years ago, to know that they are in the creator's hands, which is true, by the way. We're always in the creator's hands. But for me, to think of them as being in God's hands instead of a human was very comforting. I don't know why, like, I had to hear somebody say that. I couldn't just like tap into it myself, but it resonated with truth, and I like needed to think and believe that way. And by the way, sometimes a piece of wisdom that works for us at one point in our life later is no longer works for us. We do have to find new wisdom because we're growing. And so what was right for us yesterday might not be right for us today. But for me at that point, I needed to hear that and I needed to live by it. Now, as time went on and I grew stronger, I realized, and I would say less reactive, I realized that that axiom was, for me, becoming a little bit about not taking action. And it was a crutch and it was an excuse. Um, and it was keeping me stuck. Like, oh, it'll be fine. They're in the creator's hands. And while that's true for me, right, for my growth process, like more was being asked of me, right? But if you are in this place where you're like in total panic mode about your kids' safety and you don't have any ability to change the order, like let's say you've gone to court and it's been denied, or you're just not ready to go to court for whatever reason, like you don't believe in your position enough, or I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you are truly not ready to move forward, to change things, if you know that action will not be aligned, and you're like, if I force it, I think it's just going to make everything worse, then that's step number one, right? To trust that your kids are in the creator's hands when they are with your ex. And even if it was like super dangerous and you were taking steps to like objectively super dangerous, or like if you knew in your heart of hearts that it was super dangerous, you still need to go about the process in a dispassionate, detached way. And again, a lot of you will probably be very triggered hearing this and be like, well, it's like, how can I be detached and chilled out when it's my kids and I feel like they're in danger? Like, stop. Are they really in danger? Again, I know this may be triggering many of you, but I just want to frame for you the perspective that when I was a cop and also today, I hear people thinking that things are life and death, and they really truly perceive it that way when it is not, but it does feel that way. Why do people feel like they're dying when they have a panic attack? And the answer is because, so let me back up. One thing I hear so commonly in the family court world is, I'm fighting for my life. And these people aren't, or like, I'm fighting for my existence. And some of these are very quote unquote like objectively spiritual people. They are maybe totally like religious, observant people. They're totally into like learning spirituality and spiritual principles, but they still have this ego attachment, this identification with the egoic part of their being, with their body, which we have a body, we aren't a body. Our body is a tool, it's a vehicle for our soul, which is our true self. But when their ego is being threatened, because they are so identified with their ego without even realizing it, because they think that it's them, they feel like they're dying. And this is a true emotional hijacking, and that's why it is so important not to engage in spiritual bypassing and try and like not process our emotions, because they will not, you can stuff them down to a point, but they are eventually going to insist that they be heard, felt, and released. And you cannot release them without feeling them. They just like, they have to have a voice. Okay. And very often, once they get their day in court, like the inner court of your being, your energetic court, your home court, then it's like that's all they wanted was their voice to be acknowledged, and then they can move on. So, but if you are in this like desperate lack, survival, trying to overcompensate for this with affirming, it's not going to work. And that's why it's not working. You really need to clear out your own energy field. And the best way to do this is by processing your emotions, enriching your own energy, really getting clear on self love and deservingness and self trust and all of these different things. These crazy things happen. You don't feel like you're dying, and you don't start like adding all of this excess energy to it. And I'll give you an example. Oh, and this is one reason, by the way, that I do think going pro se is so powerful, that this in and of itself is a medium. It's a workshop for this practice of learning how to be dispassionate and detached. Because when you are representing yourself, when you are playing the role of advocate, you kind of like split yourself into roles. And it's sort of like, you know how on AI some people are doing this thing where they are photoshopping their adult self, giving their child self a hug? This is basically what you're doing when you're going pro se. Like, the part of you that is adult and professional, oh my god, this car next to me, this enormous black Cadillac Escapade, and the license plate says naughty. It's really funny. I appreciate things like that. So, because we all have these different voices inside of us, right? I think psychology calls it like the internal marketplace or something. Or, you know, some therapists are doing like internal family systems nowadays. We all have an inner child. We all have an inner rebellious teenager. We all have these different archetypes and personalities within us. We all have like an inner critic. We all have like the inner judge or the general or whatever. And when we are going pro se, then we are giving both parts of ourselves a voice, right? The neutral, detached, caring, but objective part of us, and also the part of us that's like emotional and scared and desperate. And by doing that and like being able to juggle personifications and decide which hat we're going to put on, which consciousness we're going to put on, what the situation calls for, right? Because like sometimes that scared emotional person really does just have to like shake it out, cry it out, do somatic work, do whatever. And then sometimes the attorney, legalistic part of us, that role needs to take over and be like, you know what? I'm taking the wheel right now. So I do think that that is a really powerful way to like naturally get into this mindset, because then you're thinking about um like, let's say I was defending another person, like how would I see this objectively through the other party's eyes, and how would the judge see this, and how would the judge see, like how are they going to perceive me and my energy. And I just feel like it's super healthy. And again, my coaching style is very much about being practical and grounded, but at the same time it's really about being whole brain, right, balancing that left brain and right brain, and having the knowing that we are limitless and infinite and that all possibilities exist, but then bringing it down to a format and having those healthy boundaries and structure. Okay, people think structure is, I mean, I'm sorry, people think freedom is like, oh, I can do whatever I want and I'm just this free flowing, like nebulous blob of energy. No, structure creates freedom. You cannot have freedom without structure. All right, structure is like the grid that allows the energy to flow in and fill it in. Okay, fine. So, but the part I really wanted to hone in on is this idea of integrity. And when we are working with these powerful principles, you do not want to be doing black magic, because you it will just come back to you. You know, like I've heard it comes back threefold. I don't really know. Probably feels like threefold, but and I think I said this in one of the earlier segments of this video as well. But it's, you are working with powerful energy, right? Like everybody is always manifesting, but most people are doing it by default. They're doing it unconsciously. And then we start to wake up and then we try to start to do it consciously. And for many of us, life gets worse and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish I never found manifestation, because we're like trying to do it from this egoic, like lackful place. And then we kind of figure it out and whatever. But when you're working with powerful forces, it's like maybe you used to have this like rusty 1990 Dodge Ram pickup truck, and you could kind of put like any kind of gas you wanted in it and really beat it up and it would still run, right? Like it would, like the thing was basically indomitable. And you know, then maybe down the road you get, like I used to have a Jeep Wrangler, and I could like go over any curb, median, like go mudding. This thing was just like built to whatever. It was a Jeep, you know. It was like built to go off road and just kick up rocks and do all kinds of like rough and tumble things. And then I got this really nice, sleek Acura, and it was like lower to the ground and like didn't have obviously as good of clearance and all these things, and it required a finer touch. So, like just to make it a little bit more extreme, so you have this, you know, like 1990 Dodge Ram pickup truck, and it's a total beater and blah blah blah, and then you get, you know, like a Lamborghini, right? And it's this super high tech, beautiful, gorgeous, well oiled machine, and you cannot so much as get like a grain of sand into the engine or it won't run. Okay. So when you are operating in this powerful way, with these powerful principles, if you don't behave with integrity, oh my gosh, the blowback is going to be a lot. It's sort of like if you're the president, oh, if you're like an alderman or a city councilman, and maybe you're not like behaving so ethically in your personal life, the blowback is not going to be crushing. Whereas if you're running for president of the United States, I mean, maybe not nowadays because, I mean, whatever, this is not political, but um, I don't know. It's, I will, I don't want to talk about like current day anything. Um, but it is a higher onus. Okay. Like put it this way, if you're applying for a job at McDonald's, you can get, like they don't care if you're a felon or whatever. But if you're applying for a job as an FBI agent, they really want to make sure that you are an upstanding human and that you have a clear background and good education. And it's the same way with energy. If you be more and you're doing more, yes, you can have more, but you can also have not more. And you can also um really like one of the examples Abraham Hicks always uses. She's like, if you're skiing down the mountain on the bunny hill, like with your skis in a wedge shape and you hit a tree, so what? You're not going to feel it. But if you're really cruising and you hit a tree, like on the, the Black Diamond Hill or whatever, it's going to be a lot more painful. So if you are working with manifestation energy in family court, you need to be really, really careful that you are coming at it from the right place, that you are not looking to cause someone fear, to punish, that you are truly doing what is right by yourself and your kids. And so what do you wish for your ex? Honestly, truly, you just send them light. Now, that doesn't mean you don't go to court and do what needs to be done, but you're doing it. You're not happy about it if you have to file something that you know they're not going to like, that you know is going to cause them pain. But it's the same way that you don't give alcohol to an alcoholic that you love. If you love your child and your child, heaven forbid, is an alcoholic, you don't give them alcohol. You It's a tough love. You sometimes have to cut them off and it breaks your heart. Maybe like you're not providing other means of circumstances that are enabling their bad behavior. It's like if somebody has a gambling problem and they're in trouble with debt collectors. Now, obviously, if their life is in danger, that's a different story. But if they're just, like in hot water, you probably should not give them more money to bail them out because you love them and you want them, they might have to hit rock bottom. Okay. So I want you to love your ex. And also, why you need to love your ex is because all of this growth that's going to come from this, you becoming who you really are, would never happen if they weren't giving you these challenges, these opportunities. And I am telling you, I promise you that whatever is happening now in your life, that these challenges are the most merciful way that this could possibly happen. Because if it could happen in a more merciful way, then it would be happening in a more merciful way. And the lights are off and it's super dark and I need to go inside my house and like do what I need to do. So I hope that this made sense and was helpful for you. And um I hope that it was inspiring in the sense that knowing that you have so much more power, and also um that, like, again, a cautionary tale, because you do not want to bring pain upon yourself, nor should you. Okay. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.